So do you have a way to fade it from your end?
Yeah, but I've just got it cranked up now so we can hear it.
Okay, just give me 5 seconds.
I worked in radio in New York. That was just fun thinking about
Kind of fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Better give me a CD just in case. We've only got 15 seconds.
Okay, here we go. There's something called Beginning. I'm playing it now.
Is this it?
Yeah. Is that a good level for you?
Re-cue it. Off we go, guys.
Okay.
I'll get you to introduce Pete.
Okay.
This is the Hazel on Radio 3. It's good afternoon, it's nice and dry, it's Thursday, it's sunny, and it's very nearly 12:15. My absolute pleasure to welcome back to the programme composer, bass player, man for all seasons, Pete Scherr.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Who I
Very
can't
happy
see
to be
because
here.
I'm sitting with these computers in front of us.
Okay,
We're
I'll
doing
move
this
it down.
semi-full.
So I'd like to introduce my new friend Pete Dragotta.
Good to see you, Pete. Welcome
Nice.
along.
Pete's a musician from New York City, and he does a lot of very interesting things. You want to introduce yourself a bit, Pete?
Pete Dragotta. I'm from Manhattan and play a lot in like the New York City downtown scene and play a lot of avant-garde, strange, exotic, crazy music. You know,
Well-
electrical and acoustical.
Avant-garde, I mean, it's such a common thing to say, but I mean, to you guys, when we're talking about music, and it's what that side of so-called jazz, people go, whoa, scary. So avant-garde, what's your vibe on that?
Wow.
Experimental, would that work?
Creative music, experimental. To me, I probably just give it a term just to help help
make it
people
easier.
to
Yeah.
understand what I'm doing, or to explain it to my parents.
Well, you've done a lot of this kind of stuff, so
Sure. Yeah, I feel like avant-garde, like you say, it's a bit forbidding.
dated, funnily
Yeah.
enough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true too. It's like what can you possibly do that's going to shock and upset people? And that's not what I'm really interested in anyway. It's just like if I haven't tried something and it sounds interesting, I want to give it a try, and that's about the extent of it. You know, just to see if it's fun, see if there's anything there that's that's exciting.
You had a gig last night. You've got another one coming up. Just tell us where it's going to be, if you would.
Saturday at Visage, which is on Whelan Street, which is just a little alley off of Hollywood Road,
Right.
near the corner of Aberdeen Street.
Got it.
And there's actually I could provide a link to it on my website if you want.
Well,
A link to a map.
give us your website.
Just www.petershare.com.
Okay, the reason I'm asking you about this, we'll spell it in a bit. The reason I'm asking you about this is, okay, you guys have only known each other for a little while, and funnily enough, you met on the internet.
Yeah.
How much of your stuff evolves live, and how much of it is pre-planned?
For me, all my stuff is live.
Cool.
Everything is done spontaneously. I have a program that I wrote that repurposes or regenerates images into music, and everything that my program does is doing it all in real time. I don't use any type of loops or pre-recorded material.
Yeah, so when we're doing Peter's pieces, we just improvise along with what we're hearing, and it comes out differently every time.
Is it very much visuals turned into sound? The way of thinking about the music? And we're thinking colours, I suppose, as well.
I mean, maybe because I'm so close to it, I have an idea of, like, when I see a picture, what it's going to sound like. But I definitely get it's not a one-to-one relation, like where if you see like Pretty Blue Sky.
No, I know.
And it's like, oh, it's going to be like this pretty blue music. Actually, I'll say no, that's going to actually sound pretty, minor and dark sounding.
Yeah.
So it's not that type of relation.
I do appreciate that it's very hard to actually describe stuff that you do quite naturally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tell us about the instruments you play, because I'm looking at you playing what I know to be usually called an iwi, but I guess it isn't. Is it still?
It's still called the iwi.
Okay, well tell us all about it.
iwi, which is an acronym for electronic wind instrument. It's an instrument that was invented in the early 80s by a man named Niles Steiner, who eventually sold it to the Akai Corporation. And they made trumpet versions and saxophone versions of the instrument. And at first it was a true analog synthesizer, and over time it has evolved to being a full MIDI instrument.
Does your breath control the
Breath
pressure?
controls pressure and velocity and volume. And it's pretty expressive.
It's been massively used. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the Brecker brothers used them. I think.
Yeah, Michael Brecker definitely
Michael
used it.
Brecker.
The person who actually did his programming for his sounds, did my sounds.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and Matt Trom.
And what a sound it was. So Pete, are you still playing the stick bass, or what are you doing?
Well, with this one, I'm doing electric bass and electric guitar, and I'm also using computer, Ableton actually, and I'm doing a bit of poetry, spoken word stuff.
Yeah, we touched on that. Some of the posts.
So basically, I got more interested in that thing that we were talking about in January, and I'm still doing that. And what we're doing together is we're doing some of my stuff and some of Pete's stuff.
Why poetry?
And then sometimes together.
Yeah, sometimes. Why poetry?
Well, because I've gotten into writing it again.
Okay.
And I kind of got a bit tired of what I've been doing, all these really obscure, airy-fairy, challenging, difficult jazz things, and I wanted to try something completely different, and I had a great time the first time I tried it, and I find that working with the computers and extending my guitar playing very, very interesting and challenging.
You've had to shed a lot of guitar then, I suppose.
Well, I wouldn't call it shedding. What I do is more like grazing. I mean, seriously, there's no method to it at all. I just sit with the guitar and I keep playing until I find something that I like, and then I vibe on that for a while and maybe get a little better, over the course of time, I hope.
The lack of structure is the structure, I think, because we can't sort of say, right, in the next minute I'm going to think this, that and the other. I'll look at you now and I think, oh, and I'll remember back to something from years ago in the orchestra, and then I'll look at the clock. So it's all random, but it is a structure if you think about it.
No, it's spontaneous structure, spontaneous foundation. I wouldn't say it's random at all. No.
The way we think.
No.
It links. It links.
It's how it's training yourself how.
No, I mean if it was random, I'd be barking mad.
Right.
I'll just leave that point. Can we hear some of your stuff, guys? Tell us what we're going to hear.
Okay. Well, this was from the beginning of the show last night, and we start with a little bit of one of my spoken word pieces that just segues into one of Pete's pieces, and this is about 3.5 minutes of that. Here we go.
I love it. This kind of stuff will freak some people out, but that's a good reaction.
Yeah.
Good evening.
This is a festival. You can have that.
Thank you.
It all started in heavy traffic
Inside's a program.
on a Saturday morning, a rainy Saturday morning during the 70s, on the way to church
Plug anything you want to.
with an outsized violin for the express purpose of playing with the Bach choir, and I was running late. I had many things on my mind, not in the least the complete lack of a crucial ingredient for my show that very evening. Heavy traffic, a lack of something crucial, a rainy day, all of which portended something.
That sound actually. Did you beef it when you got home, or is that as is?
Yeah, I beat it up.
I'm also playing the iPad, and I'm playing an instrument on the iPad.
That's good. We can talk about that.
So now this is going into Pete's thing. So the way that I recorded this is I just took the outputs from my board and went directly into my little Zoom.
Right.
Great.
Synesthesia. Because we talked about this before. Because somebody said, oh, by the way, did you know? And I can tell you, in my head, what colour I think a C major scale is.
Is that right?
And a C and a D and an E. I mean, it goes blue, green,